Just before the scene shown here, God responded to the coming of the beast by pouring out the 7 vials of his wrath. This set in motion the Battle of Armageddon, wherein Rome and her allies would be mowed down in the harvest of nations. Since this book was written in code, with Nero's name represented by a number, Rome is also referred to in cipher as Babylon, the previous world power that destroyed the Jerusalem temple in 587 BC, as Rome did in 70 AD. In the following passage, Rome is described in detail. It remains to say that here prostitution means entering into profitable relations with Rome, a puritanic touch that carries the authentic flavor of late prophetic Judaism. From the Essenes of the Dead Sea Scrolls community through Jesus and the early church, they were a prim group. The description of the whore drinking the blood of martyrs adds a gruesome point to the references to Nero. And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abomination of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And he said unto me, The waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. The whore drunk with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus is Rome, which slew Christians in the Colosseum as public entertainment. This scarlet woman comes to a fiery end, and every shipmaster, and all the company in ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar off, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning. As Rome falls, the armies of the Messiah ride down from heaven to conclude the war with the destruction of death and the devil. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone, and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. We have in the foreground Babylon Rome in her glory, adored by the world's grandees. Dürer seems to have taken particular pleasure in rendering the beasts' heads, some of which are turned back to admire itself. Above, the coming punishment approaches in a whirl of clouds rushing down and smoke rushing up, with angels at the center whipping on the action. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit, and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. The Lamb's bride, the New Jerusalem, is described in the book as a mystical abstraction, a gigantic glowing cube made of precious stones. Dürer has rendered it as a storybook medieval city, though he has been careful to keep the angel guardians at each of its gates. The resurrection and last judgment are crucial matters for the Pauline theology which gave decisive form to Christianity proper. Dürer has decided to omit them, and he is correct. Here they were mere episodes leading to the genuine climax, the restoration of the temple and city destroyed by the Roman devil. The New Jerusalem is described in the text with a lengthy and shameless enumeration of treasure such as one finds at times in Irish folk tales, the exultant, enumerative visions of wealth such as only the miserably poor and dispossessed can imagine. Dürer has modernized the vision into a sprawling metropolis with vast area enclosed by its turreted walls. At the turn of the 16th century, a large city whose placement on the water implies commerce represented wealth more effectively than sparkling gems could have. The Book of Revelation is a Zionist ecstasy, in which the only deliberately Christian content is the description of Jesus as the sacrificial lamb, though without reference to Christ's sacrifice as redemptive in the Christian sense. By its content, the Book of Revelation should be the first rather than the last book of the New Testament, for it is a bridge between latest Jewish apocalypticism and what is distinctively early Christianity. Dürer's Illustrated Apocalypse is one of the greatest Bible illuminations, and indeed one of the greatest illustrated books of all time. It is full of magnificent compositions, like the 7 lamps, archetypal insights into the meaning of the symbols, as when he placed the 4 winds at the center of the world, a gallery of portraits that carry emotional conviction and dramatically effective staging of the content. The Book of Revelation is a book of incredible visions described in incredible detail. Dürer's imaginative renderings and telescoping of complex episodes are always faithful to the text and its essential content. It is a meticulous work of illustration, delivering what is described, and in the process bringing us 1,500 years closer to the content of this 2,000-year-old book. Dürer's work here is genuine illustration, and not interpretation from an ironic modern distance. Though his Renaissance clarity and confidence makes him seem almost contemporary, Dürer's world was still rooted in the Gothic imagination, a late medieval world thoroughly informed by and continuous with late antiquity. For the Christendom of Dürer's time, the world of early Christianity had never ended, only developed and unfolded its content. Thus Dürer could visualize this book with a familiarity, innocence, and immediacy we can still appreciate, but can no longer achieve.